Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. And of course, you're wondering who the heck is this guy on Michele Ponte's channel? Well, if you don't know me, my name is Alex. I'm here with iChongqing and Reporterfy Media. And of course, I'm bringing Ponte onto the program without further ado. There he is, and there he is ready to say hello to the audience here at iChongqing. Welcome, Michele Ponte. It's a time check here, 8:30 in China. How about you in Italy, sir? Ponte, can you hear us?
Uh, Hello, Alex.
That's okay.
I can. Um, Wait, I do not remember how to use this program.
No problem.
So,
Anyway, well,
so
we're here. Go ahead, Mikhail.
the audio is repeating in the chat.
Possibly, are you hearing my voice? And maybe you have YouTube open as well at the same time, so you might want to mute that.
Uh,
And we'll
I,
let Ponte figure that out for a second.
I
And
do not. I don't have it. That's the weird part.
no worries. Well,
Um,
tell us about you, where you are, and what's going on with you right now, Michele.
I am in Italy. This is the fridge of my house. Uh, and I just got back at home from a birthday party. So,
Right.
but wait. I'm sorry. There is a problem with the audio. Let me log in
Okay.
again into the StreamYard. There is
Sounds good.
something wrong. One
Sounds good,
second.
Ponte. I'll keep the audience busy while you're gone. Okay. All right, we'll come back with Ponte here in a moment, and great to see everyone here. I know some notable names here on the side chat. In his maniac world, welcome to the program, Ken, Randy. Great to see everyone here from Ponte's audience tonight or today, wherever you are. What a fantastic subscriber base he has. Yvonne, nice to see you as well. Carpe Diem, yes, a lot of these are well-known names. Santino, great to see you all here today, and hopefully you're having an amazing weekend. I'm going to send the link again here to get Ponte back onto the program. It's been a while since we've done a collaboration together, but not to worry, we'll figure this out for you guys. Lots to talk about today too. International, a lot of things really going on in this world, especially in the United Kingdom. And thank you, Randy, for sending your regards to me as well. Let's see if we can queue up Ponte here in a moment. If you guys have any questions, please leave them in the side comment box, and we will address all of them. Let's see if he's back here. How are we doing there, Ponte?
I should be fine.
We should be fine, huh? Oh, looking good, feeling good, everything's good. Life's good in Italy. Great to see you again. Said hello to the audience. SJ, is this CNN? Sorry, SJ, it's not CNN.
I cannot hear you. On your side? Okay, let's try again. Perfect.
Yeah, I hear you. Perfect.
Okay, sorry for the delay. Sorry to everyone. It's a long time with me and Alex. We have not been doing this since Thailand, I think.
Yeah, the good old KTV days. Great to see you, Michele Ponte. And just for the audience that is watching here from China, let me just tell you about this gentleman. He is a very experienced traveler around the world. He's been to many countries, and as well as some that I have lived in. Extremely experienced. He's written books. He's got great travel tips. And he is definitely a channel that you should follow. And he has one of the most loyal subscriber bases that I've known for any YouTuber out there. Extremely talented video editor as well. And, well, what can I say, Michele Ponte? Let's see. What is... people are saying I should adopt you. Don't worry, we're working on that. We're adopting to get him into China. That is my goal, but we'll talk about that later. I'm going to put the screen over to Ponte, and you can just tell us a little bit what's going on in Italy, maybe from You could maybe just share some of, let's be honest with the subscribers here, and we don't want to sugarcoat everything all the time. We're as content creators, we always want to put on a smiley face, but there are some struggles, there are some challenges going on in Europe there, especially Italy. I mean, you guys have replaced your government already. You guys are seeing skyrocketing electricity bills. What's going on? I want to hear from a guy that's in Italy, living in Italy. Tell us.
Okay, thank you, Alex, for the very, very kind words. Like, there is no need to tell that I am so great, because I'm just a normal person trying to enjoy YouTube and trying to enjoy life. As they say in the comment, the Italian economy is bad. By the way, here on the right side, you can see all my travels. I brought all these stickers and fridge stuff at home, so my mom and my family can enjoy them, but they are from multiple countries. Of course, what I've been seeing is completely different from what I was used to. Until a few years ago, I was able to buy half a kilogram of pasta for 50 cents. Nowadays, the price is completely doubled. Like it's $1 or €1, more or less it's the same, for 500 grams of pasta, and not even the best high quality pasta. It's just an average pasta. Things have completely shifted. And I was chatting with one person today, and this guy told me the only way to get out of depression is to earn at least 10K a month. 10K a month. Things are getting so expensive that, as many of my viewers know, we have been trying to sell the family shop for multiple years, failing at it. The prices went from $500,000 to 300K, and now it's $130K, 135 actually. We got an offer, but I'm not sure if it's gonna happen. It's just incredible. The prices are going so down for buildings, properties, and so on. And then food is skyrocketing. Electricity is skyrocketing. The gas for the car, I paid like €2 for 1 liter, €2.15 in a trip with my grandparents a few weeks ago. And it's like paying $80 per gallon in the US or something like that. It's crazy high prices. Nowadays, for the gas, they are lowering a bit, but winter is coming, as they say in Game of Thrones, and things might shift completely. I cannot wait to get out of Italy, honestly. Welcome to everybody in the chat. Ken, SJ, Adventure, Zora, Bangkok and Mort, Martin, Randy, Vito. Thank you so much for joining in this live stream.
Michele, so for people that don't know us or me or us together and stuff like that, first when I got into YouTube, I was following a bunch of channels, and this guy here that's sharing the screen with me really inspired me to kind of come out of my element. I was never on Facebook and YouTube, Twitter, or anything like that. And I just, admired the charisma with Ponte and his energy that he brings to his viewers. You feel like it's your friend. And I had contacted him in a very early stage on his channel. He probably thought I was a little bit crazy at the time, but I said, hey, if you're ever in Thailand, come to Thailand, stay with me. Let's try this adventure together. And it kind of worked out that way. And as you guys know, if you've been following both of our channels, that we're good friends. And we try to support each other the best way that we can, whether it's through travel tips or lining up collaborations with each other and so on and so forth. But what brings me to this today is, I've last year at around August of 2021, I left a very, very sick Thailand at the time there. And the airports were completely shut down. And I'm not going to sugarcoat this. Things were extremely bad, and they're still bad. As Thailand is trying to turn the corner, we have to remember that over 60% of its travel market comes from China. Now, I'm not trying to convince the viewers to, embrace China in any way. You're not going to get that from me. But some of the things that I've learned over here in the last year here on the way things are run policy wise, to make sure that inflation doesn't hit people here, food prices don't go skyrocketing, gas prices don't go through the roof, property prices don't go through the roof. I've learned a lot here in a year, and I have to say that as a content creator, you guys have seen me. I've made videos everywhere in Maldives and Philippines and Canada, you name it. I've been there. But I have to say that there is a general care for an individual. And what I'm seeing here in the world and extremely concerned about is, I think you guys know that we did a documentary this year, and Michele Ponte was in the documentary called COVID. What was the name of it? Sorry, the human cost. It was called the human cost of COVID, not the effects that you get from COVID, but the human cost and the factors that that pandemic has rippled through the world. We may feel the world is open, but I think that it's not open until this place gets open, and it's going to be a while yet, guys. I don't think China's going to deviate away from its dynamic COVID policy. And what I wanted to have Ponte on this program is to kind of explain to the viewers that, listen, it's okay to express what's going on in the world here truthfully. If you see our media, as we're seeing strange things, the financial markets for some reason were going much higher yesterday. Bizarre, don't know why. People are getting hit more. They're losing more money. I mean, I'll give you an example. My mother's pensions barely cover her electricity and gas bills now in Canada. And I don't want this podcast to sound negative, because there is some happy things to talk about on here, but I just want us to hear it from Ponte, and I think it's important that our audience hears it from a true, genuinely nice Italian boy living in Italy that runs a family business. I have to tell you, when you made that segment in our documentary this year, that is one of I think we had 20 people on that documentary. Your part in that documentary, everybody really related to. And they said, wow, how is that guy? What's going on with that guy? And let's hear from you, man. What's in the future? What's in the future for you in Italy? Are you going to stick around there? Or are you heading out, or what are you going to do?
As you know, Alex, my job and my only real income is YouTube and mostly YouTube donations. So I have to keep going. I have to keep traveling. It is too expensive to shoot YouTube videos in Italy, and it's too complicated because of the laws that are currently present in Italy. And so therefore, I'm heading to Africa as soon as Tuesday. I'm going to land in Kenya on Wednesday. And then we're going to find out if I can keep my dream of traveling the entire planet alive, or if I will need to find a normal job. But finding a normal job could be super risky. Like nowadays, I do enter the supermarket and I'm like, I cannot buy meat. I cannot afford meat. It's so strange. And then I see like a fish or something that my father bought, and I'm like, oh, my father was buying me this fish. And I'm like, I cannot afford something that he was buying me like 20 years ago. No, maybe 20 is too much. 10 years ago. So I'm like, oh my gosh. The situation is pure struggling. And I think the majority of the Italian population is not expecting it to go so bad. It's not expecting that the prices will keep going this high, or that they will stay this high. They're like, I'm gonna survive with $1,000 a month, but $1,000 a month, is it slavery or is it freedom? Because if you're working for $1,000 in Italy, it's like, I can do nothing. I cannot even go out and meet my friends. I cannot even get pizza and sustain my winter life, because in summer you turn off the heating, but in winter, I don't know. I don't know what it's gonna happen, honestly.
Can you tell me what your friends are saying?
So all my friends, most of my good friends, they are middle class. Let's say this.
Okay.
Middle class is something that is disappearing. Italy is dividing in poor and rich. It's becoming very, very common that or you have money or you don't.
Or can we agree? Can we agree to say you're in or you're out? Is that better?
Yes. So most of the middle class people, or most of the people that come from middle class family, you will see maybe they have a house with a swimming pool, but it's not their house; it's the parents' house. And maybe they decided that the job they have right now it's enough, but they put two salaries together as a couple, wife and husband, or girlfriend and boyfriend, and they go to the bank, they try to get a loan, and they're like, I want to buy this apartment, and the bank is gonna say you are too poor, like, and every bank you go, like, oh no, $3,000 combined is not enough, $4,000 combined is not enough. It's crazy. And that's why, as somebody say in the comments, Italian families tend to stay in the house for many generations because you don't really have the possibility to get out of the house. If you're gonna get married, you're gonna bring your girl over into the house because how can you afford to live outside the house? And if you want to live outside the house, especially in Rome and in Milano, which are the two main cities, the rent is gonna be so high that like 70% of the salary is gonna go into the rent. Maybe let's say even 60%. And with 40% left is gonna be like food, and maybe you go to the gym and that's it. You don't have a life. You're just surviving. You're just surviving. That's very sad.
So do you feel that maybe this is what inspired people to vote in a completely brand new government into the country?
Possibly. It's
I know you're
so
not a big political guy either, so don't worry.
I avoid speaking about politics too much because
Sure.
I always get in trouble, and then they report me for just because they disagree with my views. But
Sure.
I think it's not all about Italy. I think it's the entire Europe that is getting more conservative. And you might have noticed that everybody's voting to the right side. Because the left
Yes,
side
I've seen
was
this
like,
trend.
yes, it's like we host everybody, we have money for everybody, we are rich, we're gonna make green cars, we're gonna make electric cars, and so on. And then the actual usage of these cars is not possible. What if you buy a Tesla in 2021 and now you go in 2022 and you have to pay 3 times the price for the same?
It's interesting. Let's stay on this topic for a moment here about e-cars, okay? Because you made a very interesting comment, and I get that comment a lot from people. Actually, people are in that say about China. And just so you guys know, I'm a Canadian. I've been to China since 2003. I've traveled to over 25 cities. I consider myself well-traveled at over 100 countries, and lived in Europe since 26 years old, and then moved to Southeast Asia when I was in my early 40s. I won't give away my age too much here, but anyway, to talk about e-cars, there is a big difference and a big disconnect between the e-car market here in China and I would say the rest of the world. And I'll tell you how the e-cars work here. First, they're very affordable. Okay. And I'll give you a couple of examples. There's a car called the Wuling, I believe. And let me just pull it up here for you guys. It's called the Wuling Mini, I believe. Okay. Let me just find a good image for us. Okay. Let me just find a good image. And once I pull this up, this will kind of give you guys an idea of how the Chinese market really is moving. Okay. Now, this isn't a flagship EV car. This is what we would call an introductory model. Okay. And let me just pull it up here. Okay. So let's have a look at this. All right. Now, this would be a car that would cost you The cheapest model I've seen is about $3,000. Okay. And it's called a Wuling, and you can get it in hard top, soft top, convertible, or whatever. Now, this car, I wouldn't be taking up the mountains, okay, but it would probably make it up there. But it's a car that would be called a commuter car. It's a smaller little car. It's like a smart car, we'll call it, okay? And it's EV, is battery powered. It can be charged from your home. You don't need any major special charging systems for it. And it the starting range is a few $1,000s. And then, of course, if you get a fancy stereo, a little bit more, the prices go up. Okay, so you can kind of build it up. Now, this is a huge manufacturer here in China, and in Chongqing here, we're going to be, I would say, at one point probably the EV capital of China, and that's a lot to say. That's a huge statement. Okay, but this is a car city. I'm not going to call it the motor city of China, but it is a car city. So that is one car, for example. Okay, just an example. It's just an example, guys. That's not where the car market is. That's not all the cars, but that's a way that you would, your cat could drive that. That is a way that you get into the market here. Then there's other companies, bigger companies. NIO. I don't know if you guys know of NIO. And then there's a company called it's called BYD, and it's a subsidiary of a massively traded multinational manufacturer here. They start in Shenzhen. I believe the company's called Beyond Your Dreams, something like that. And they have all these levels. So if you want a car, 2,000 to 3,000. You want a car, 5,000 to 10,000, 10,000 to 15,000, 20,000. You can move up to what you can afford. Now, this car that I showed you is a car that maybe you just want to drive to get to work and not break the bank, right? Okay, a couple $1,000, you can even finance it and we can afford it. Or you move on to something like the BYD automobiles, okay? Now, here are the other models of the cars, okay? And you can see they know what they're talking about. And the investment is here. Now, here's the difference. Guys and girls, everybody watching, here is the difference. If you have an electronic car, there are some pluses here. In some cities, run promotions. Some have free charging posts in all the shopping malls. So includes free parking. So imagine that if you have a green plate on your car and whatever shopping malls, and there's lots of them here. I think there's another 60 shopping malls opening up in the city in the next year. But of this, you're allowed to go in there, park your car for free, and charge your car for free. There's charging stations everywhere around this country. You don't have to look and cross your fingers and hope you found it. They're everywhere. They're absolutely everywhere around here. So charging your cars, finding parts, the market's here. It works here. It's working in China. I don't have a car here. I have an e-bike, and it's a scooter. And you know me, Ponte, I drove scooters in Thailand with you. This scooter, brand new e-bike, I'll call it, here, it cost me $320 brand new. And wow, to charge it a month, it's under $2 a month to charge it. Okay. So when you take that cost, out of your monthly balance sheet, and if you live in a climate where you can drive an e-bike for $2 a month, or buy a car for $2,500, $3,000, and it gets you to work, that is a move forward. When I call it allowing the economy, or allowing the younger generation to get ahead in this world. I'm used to being, and I don't know the rest of the audience, but I'm Canadian. And in Canada, when we see car commercials, they are almost like, pressuring you, like, get this car now, because if you don't, your neighbor will have a new car and your car will be 2 years or 3 years old and you got an old model. Or, it's almost peer pressure to get to upgrade to a new car. But I told the audience a couple of weeks back, I did a comparison, and we added up all the cars that my sister bought since she was and she's 56 or 57 now. I have a few sisters. In depreciation value, she lost over $350,000 to $400,000 in depreciation in her cars in her lifetime. So e-cars in China, it's working, guys. I would say almost all taxis in a city like this, Chongqing, city of 32 million, massive city, it works. It works here. Will it work in the Western countries? I don't know. The governments might want it to work. It's not necessarily even about the environment here, even though they are trying to combat that, Ponte. It's more practicality about getting people into these cars, to save money, to not be reliant on fuel costs. It's interesting. And then there's even government benefits that if you buy a new car, you can use it as a tax write-off. And I believe most colleagues I know are in a 9 to 11% tax bracket here. That's it.
Wow.
That's it. So that's e-cars. And I understand Tesla's not the only game in town here. There are Teslas here, but the Teslas that are here, if you do work for the government, you're not allowed to park them in the government parking spot. You have to leave them out on the street because of the communication with the car and Silicon Valley. So for security reasons, you can't park Teslas in government buildings here.
Maybe tiny electric cars could not work in the US because the roads are so big.
Sure.
And
yeah, I agree with you.
The distances are very huge. But in Central and South America, the roads, the houses, the structure is built more like in Europe, and therefore it's much tinier. And maybe it could work there. I've actually seen, and I think it was more than 6 years ago, in Cuba.
Right.
I've seen electric scooters. And by the way, they were sent by China. And it was my first time in my life seeing electric scooters, and I was surprised that they didn't make any sound. I was so shocked. It was my first experience. And yes, in tiny roads and small cities, they could be very, very practical.
Now, another thing that I've learned coming here is if you don't want to drive a car, if you don't want to drive a scooter, the public transportation here is big time. I'm talking big time. The subway system that connects this city, it costs to go from one end to the other. Imagine going from one side of London, even in the outskirts of London, through London and right to the other side. The cost of that transportation here is 65 cents. That's it, US. 65 cents from one end of this 32 million city and back. If you're not happy with taking the subway, there's a bus link. If you're not happy with taking the bus link, there's a 95-mile long monorail that goes through the city that connects it with brand new stations. So the infrastructure is here for people to choose. They can take a bus. They can take, and it's reliable and it's safe. You're not going to get robbed. And there are security checks at each one. But yeah, it's really interesting to hear some of the challenges going on there in Italy. And I can see it. I used to live in Monte Carlo for a long time. And every time I went into Ventimiglia, am I saying that correct? Ventimiglia?
Yeah, Ventimiglia is right.
Ventimiglia or San Remo. I used to go in there for groceries and stuff.
Yeah.
And one thing that I always noticed about that part, of course, that doesn't speak for all of Italy, but I was always wondering, the transportation was never there. It was there, but it was always old. It was breaking down. Even the train stations were dated. The French train stations are dated as well. And the infrastructure is I haven't been there in 7 years. Maybe you can tell me how the infrastructure. Is the government defunding that a little bit, or what's the thought on that?
So the problem is that the government, in many occasions, decided to make many companies private, which is
Okay.
not always the good move.
Mm-hmm.
I understand private companies, they want to make money, but private companies, which they also get public funds, they do not tend to make money because they will never find profit. And I don't think public transport should be private because it's called public, because you need the
Right.
transport also in
Right.
areas where less people live. Because if it was only a private company, they would go just big city to big city. They would skip all the customers in between. So it's very difficult mess. Personally, from what I've seen, the north of Italy works much better than the south of Italy. The south of Italy has almost no options. You need to have a car. In the north
Mm-hmm.
of Italy, connections, especially in big cities, are a bit better. But the moment you start going south, the buses are never on time. They're always
Mm.
breaking. When I was in high school, many times my bus got broken on the way to the school, and I had to got like a receipt that I am allowed to be late because the bus was broken. And the bus driver had to make that, or the metro driver had to make that, which was crazy. Like, imagine how often I was going later. I almost didn't want to go to school, but I was also getting late because. And I was on the bus for 1 hour and a half every day, commuting from the south of Rome to the center of Rome. One
Oh
hour
my.
and a half of traffic, which was crazy. No kid would be motivated to study with so much traffic. The other problem is in Rome, it's impossible to build the metro stations because every time you dig a hole, you will find like history, villas, ancient Roman stuff. So it's like Rome is destined to pass from the past to the future with flying cars because there is no way to go down. I don't know if it's I don't know if it's ever gonna happen. We'll see. We'll see.
Can I ask you a question? I'm putting an image up on the screen here now.
Mhm.
Is this how the average person, you have Italian friends, is this how the average person views China? This is a city of 32 million, and you're watching the infrastructure of this city. The
Mhm.
city has 14,000 bridges. It has monorails, cable cars. Is this how people view China in Italy?
As soon as they see Asian people and modern structure, they will think about Tokyo, they will think about Japan, but never about China, just to be honest.
And what's your thoughts when you see a vision like this on the screen?
I think it's super cool. Like Alex, most of China I found out through you. Like you were my gateway to through China. I knew things were going on, but everything is hidden in Western media. We don't know anything about China. It's completed zero.
I mean, also you can fairly say that about some of the destinations you've been to, like Kenya. Did you see some infrastructure projects being built in Kenya? Tell us about your Kenya, because are you planning to go back to Kenya? What's your goals on that?
Yeah. Hopefully, I'll be in Kenya on Wednesday. So yeah, there is the railway in Kenya from Mombasa to Nairobi, which are the two main cities, and it was a railway built by China. It's not the
Hmm.
most modern train, but it's a huge upgrade from the past. And well, it's working. And
Right.
nowadays, you can get between the two cities comfortably sitting on a train instead of like taking 100 million buses, stopping in between, never getting in time. Now you have a specific hour, you get in time, and so I think the infrastructure is developing. But
Are they sorry to interrupt you? Are they upset
sure,
that the
sure.
Chinese are supporting the railway? Are they is there animosity that China's there building part of their infrastructure and investing in it?
Look, the other day, a journalist asked to a politician in Rome, um, do people care that there are Mussolini statues and other things? No, nobody thinks about that. We don't think if there is a statue or something pointing about the fascist past, and people don't think in Kenya, oh, this thing was built by China. Nobody cares. What is important is that this thing is working and it will bring me from one place to another. Nobody, is it relevant? No, it's not relevant. It's a great structure, it's working, yes, that's what matters. So I don't think anybody is complaining about China building a railway. It's something that is working and it's something that everybody is using. So
But do you feel but do you feel that okay, that might be your opinion or maybe some Kenyans' opinions, but do you think that your generation, I know you're a few decades younger than I am, but all we hear is China is trying to indebt a lot of other nations, by lending them money. That is the rhetoric that we hear from the collective West media. But has your generation China is building quite a large Belt Road initiative. I'm not sure if you're aware of the infrastructure costs, but that is going all the way across Europe. That may even start to have some impact in the Italian ports, maybe on the positive note. I don't know. What are the Italians saying?
So many people say that China is stealing by borrowing money to these countries and making these countries in debts and so on. But many of these people fail to point that if you check the actual stats, if you check the statistics, you will notice that in many occasions China has lost money. So I think it's normal that if I help you build your house, I want something in return. Nobody's doing anything for free on this planet.
And I don't expect a lot of people to really kind of put their head around this, but this country, there's 1.5 billion people here. Okay. Food security was actually brought up just a couple of days ago as one of the main mandates of this Congress. I don't know if you're aware, there's a huge Congress going on here in China. The CPC 20th National Congress that's been going on. And Xi will have the third term, but a lot of stuff was talked about at this Congress that wasn't covered in the Western media. One of them was food security, making sure that the country will never be held hostage by another nation when it comes to food. Also, electricity, the infrastructure, the investment in electricity, as well as security. And one interesting point I heard is that the American companies are using Chinese courts more to fight intellectual property, which you don't hear in the media. And they stated some cases that were quite interesting. Yes, there's a couple other channels. There are a couple of Italians here in China that have Luca and Rochelle. Are you aware of them?
Luca and Rachele.
Rachele. Sorry, Mr. Ponte.
I think I chatted with her on Instagram.
Great. Okay. Do you know what city she's in? Hangzhou. That's a big city too. Yeah, a beautiful city as well. Here's some interesting things. Let's bring up a couple of headlines that I'm going to load up into the thing here. And I'd like you to, there's some Italian newspapers in here that I want you to tell me what the headlines say. Since
okay, let's see.
Let's just stop on the U.S. one here. So this is the San Francisco Chronicle. Pacific Coast waters, a wildlife hotspot. School chief sees way out of crisis. Okay. That's kind of what's going on in the U.S. Now, this is the Philippines. Now, there's a point that I think that you've said that you at the start of this program that you could buy pasta used to cost about 50 cents, and now it's doubled. It's gone up and it's doubled in price, right? Well, we're
Yes.
starting to see this around a lot of the world here. The BSP, and this is the Philippines, is ready to support the peso. The Chinese RMB is at a record low. The Japanese, currency, the Canadian dollar, the New Zealand dollar, the Australian dollar. This is alarm bells. And the last time I saw this, the globe went into a complete meltdown in 2008 when the US dollar got so strong. But it's all over the papers here. Let's have a look here as we continue on with this here. Okay, so tell us what we got here, Mr. Ponte. This is the front page of La Stampa. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And Maloney, what does that say about Berlusconi? What does that say? Is he coming
Melanie
back?
is no, she's saying that she's shutting up Berlusconi, but
Okay.
it's not what she's saying. It's what the journalist says.
So, can you tell us a little bit about this newly elected leader of this country? Do you know
Okay.
anything about her?
Yeah, I met her once.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yes.
tell us. I'm curious. This will be good.
My first impression of her wasn't good.
Okay.
Just to be honest, I'm always maybe too honest. That's my problem. I was very young. Maybe I think it was 10 years ago. I was working for a tiny journal, a tiny newspaper in Italy, and she seemed a bit too extremist in her position, and she had the Italian flag on the helmet of the motorbike, Italian flag here, and so on, all dressed up in black. And I'm like, oh, okay, she's a bit too much. But in the past 10 years, I don't know, maybe she's a good politician, maybe not. The funny thing is that I'm not the only one shifting opinions. People can shift opinion too. And I think she shifted her opinion, being so much farther on the right side, she moved a bit toward the center. And by moving toward the center, let's say something. Family,
Right.
standard family, or normal family, or whatever you want to call it, nowadays, in the extreme Western world, like US, Canada, where you're from, is considered as a bit extremist. Like male and female, it sounds exaggerated nowadays. It sounds like it's a far right progress movement, but it was a normal thing. It was once it was center, and it was actually left, center, and right. So whatever she stands for, it was a very very common thing in the past for the entire planet. And suddenly she's put in the extreme corner on the right. So that's a very weird point of view. Like
I see
that's
it.
why you're accusing her of being fascist. And
they throw that word around a lot.
they didn't study. Under Mussolini, there was no freedom of speech. There was no freedom of movement. There was no freedom of choosing what you wanted to do. You just go to school, you dress up all the same, you do the same things, you behave in a certain way, you walk in a certain way. They cannot confuse fascism with what she is. I believe she might come from the far right, but then she moved more toward the center. That's what every politician does. You can never trust politicians in general. They shift every party in Italy. They move from left to right without any problem. But
it's something to be said about that, and also making comments about what certain leaders or what certain countries used to be like. My wife was born in Lithuania. Her parents were born in the Soviet Union. And Yulia, Yulia, she lived, I think it was how many years? 7 or 8 years under the Soviet Union. And if you talk to certain people now, today, we'll talk it today, 2022, of the older generations, some of them are not going to agree with the path that the countries are on right now. And they're going to say, wait a moment, when I was this age, and this is where we separate the political ambitions, governments at that time, to the common people. Okay, some people were saying that during these times that life was more stable for them, whether it was they had a job, they had a roof over their head, they had not to worry about these day-to-day things of eating and on all these priorities. So now we have, if you look, let's say we go forward 30 years into the future, okay, and we decide to read back, let's say it's 2052, okay, and we want to read 30 years back. Well, you can see what the media label people. And as we get older, well, we've lived in 2022. We know what the governments are doing, or for most part. My whole point is that who is really recording the history of these governments? Is it the media? Because if it's the media and you're reading what you read or what you know about these politicians, it could be completely something different in the paper. And as you go into the future, you'll be one of those people that said, "Hey, wait a minute. No, that politician wasn't like that, because I lived on Earth and I was there at that time, and I'm older than you, and I know what the media is saying is they're lying." So now we have a media that can't be trusted, that are talking about certain politicians, and some is rightfully, some deserve criticism, and some are wrong, depending on what the political ambitions are for that newspaper. It's very easy to understand in the United States which newspaper is slanting to the left or slanting to the right. It's very easy. Some of them actually get deplatformed. Some of them actually get silenced. Some of their leaders actually get pulled off of social media. Well, so much for the freedom of speech there. But so when you get to this point where, what can we really trust now with what's going on in the world? And I think at the end of the day, it comes down to, like you said at the start of this program, you're not really happy in Italy right now, and you're an Italian-born guy, probably one of the nicest guys I know, not just because you're Italian, but you're one of the nicest guys I know. I've met you. You stayed with me for a few months. We became very good friends, and I can vouch and say you're honestly one of the nicest guys I know. And as my father and mother would say, he doesn't have a bad bone in his body. It's true about you. But one thing I want to say is that, you're a good guy, and now the country is not offering you opportunities to get ahead, to survive. It's like you're getting pushed down the hill and you're leaving your country. I mean, what does that say? I mean, there's got to be more guys like you in that situation right now in Italy. That's got to be completely frustrating, Ponte.
No doubts. What I see is that people live thanks to what the parents have. People have this fantasy about Italy, that Italy was great and so on, but most of the Italians that were successful, they did that by moving abroad. Like most of the scientists, they moved to Germany, they moved to other countries and so on. So it's very, very hard to be successful in a country that will tax you 55% on everything. Like,
wow.
How can I afford to hire someone to work for me? Like, if I need an editor for my YouTube videos, imagine I have to pay 55% taxes. So his salary from $1,000 will become $2,100 of cost for me.
Wow. That is a staggering number.
Yeah, how is that even possible? And I can even do that in a way that he has to pay taxes, but which means I have to pay him more anyway, which means he will make no money. So it's absolutely shocking. And Italian law is trying as much as possible to make people pay taxes in Italy, even if you don't live in Italy. I think it's a topic we talked privately. And
Yeah.
I,
Somebody put a message up on here. It says, Alex, what's your opinion on Evergrande and the real estate bubble in China? Okay, this is something I've heard on many occasions. It's nothing new. It's a lot to do with, we always hear real estate bubble in China, real estate bubble. You'll see news reporters arrive to empty cities and say, hey, it's a ghost town. Well, let me try to explain to you guys kind of what that means. And I'm not trying to educate people here. I'm just trying to explain that sometimes people really don't get the full picture. For example, there's a mega city that's being built now in China to move a lot of the bureaucratic buildings and a lot of the people that work in the government from a city, well, from Beijing. And the city is called Chongqing. I probably didn't pronounce that the greatest way, but this city is basically being built from scratch. It's a multi-billion dollar city. It's massive. It's nicknamed, I call it the perfect city. And let me just give you an idea of what it looks like. And let's just quickly pull this up for you guys so you guys can have a look at it. And I'll try to explain it to you because I want to answer that comment as fair as I can. Okay. All right. Can't wait till I get my staff in the studio to help me out with this stuff, Ponte. So this is the city here, and it's going to be. You see all the cranes. You see as far as you can see. Okay. Now it's 100 kilometers from Beijing. The railroad is already finished. Railroad's completed. It's done already. Brand new railway station, open, ready to go. Okay, you can see it there. They're also making this a sponge city, environmental. The total initial development's 198 kilometers. And you can see they got a roadmap to how they're going to build it. Cranes and cranes and cranes and cranes and cranes. So China doesn't really rip up its cities to put an extra road in it. Or it doesn't, if it needs to build another runway on an airport or something like that, it doesn't sit there in environmental review for 20 years like Heathrow or 30 years to get that runway. If they can't build that runway or if they can't build that expressway, they build another city. It's that easy. That's what they do. And here's one here. You've probably never heard of it, but it's going to be one of the biggest cities in the world here in the next, I think by 2035. This is a long-term vision. And they're using parts of land that was contaminated at one point. They're building it. They're redoing it. They're, pulling up all the old soil. They're treating it. And then they're going to build the city. Now, it's going to have its own opera house, of course, its own city hall, its own police stations, its own infrastructure. You can see the magnitude, the construction that's going on there. Massive. This is what they do in China. When they want to build a city and this city is going to be bigger than New York. Okay. It's massive. Now, what happens is a Western journalist will go there and they'll stand in the middle of an empty street and they'll say the following. Here we are in Chongqing. The city's empty. All these towers. No one's here. This is a railway station, by the way. This is completed, by the way. Fast, high-speed rail network. Zooms from Beijing, Shanghai, you name it. It's already there. And the Western media will say, well, it's a ghost town. And there's a train station there. You can see it from above. It's already in operation. Nobody in the city yet, but it's ready to go. And the Western media will say, well, it's a ghost town. No one's there. No one's living there. It's empty. It's a fail. It failed. And that's what you're going to get in the Western media. But what they don't do is they don't go and visit this city 10 years later when it has 30 million people in it because they don't want to humiliate themselves. Okay. So to answer the question that was on the board about Evergrande, and for all those that aren't familiar who Evergrande is, they're a major, major developer here in Thailand, or pardon me, in China. Big, 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 big. Now, do developers get it wrong in China? Yes, some of them do. Do they overbuild maybe in areas that they thought were going to be successful? It happens. Do they go on a acquisition binge and maybe buy too much? Yes, sometimes they do. Do they get into a cash crunch? Yes, they do. The government is aware of this. The government is very aware of the situation. Now, as you see with Hang, he's a very up-to-date guy here in China. And he's already addressed this, that some of the assets have been sold off to help the bottom line out. But let me be clear. This is a government that can write checks. Okay. If there's an issue for 10 billion, 100 billion, whatever, they can write checks. Now, do they want to write checks for maybe miscalculations or something that hasn't worked in the right way for a developer? Probably not. There is one thing that I can honestly say about China, and that there's accountability, Ponte, from the bottom to the top, from the top all the way to the bottom. There's accountability everywhere. If mistakes are made, mostly the fastest thing to do is to say we made mistakes. Are there people that bought properties that haven't got them? Sure. But do we see that in other parts of the world? Absolutely. We see it in Thailand. We see it in Pattaya. Overbuilding, buyers didn't come, market went south. But one thing China has done, though,
Even
at least,
in front
yep.
of my
Tell
house
me.
in Italy, there is a project that was stopped and it is half finished. I can even point the camera there. It's just in the road of my house. And who knows?
So these things do happen. I'm hoping that Evergrande will see better days here coming up in the future. The government here has kept its lending rates stable, where in other parts of the world, we're hearing, I think just one of my good friend's daughter, her mortgage rate jumped this year after her term came and she renegotiated her mortgage. Family of four, and her mortgage rate went up $700 a month. So, yeah, that will tell you. Okay, I just want to continue on with the rest of these newspapers here. A couple more headlines.
Okay.
I'm sure you've heard of the fiasco in United Kingdom that even possibly Boris Johnson is coming back. This is the Lithuania, Kauno Diena. That's Kaunas. Kaunas is a town in Lithuania. Yes, I do speak Lithuanian. Not the greatest, but pretty damn good after studying it for 2 years because my wife is Lithuanian. Lithuania and Latvia and Estonia are Baltic countries. They do, some of them do border Russia, and there is quite a tug of war going on in these countries right now. Some of them are dependent on a lot of oil and gas coming from Russia, getting pressure from Europe. Boy, it's going to be a long, long, long cold winter there. This is China Daily, of course. Xi advances head of state diplomacy, resolving the Taiwan question, highlighted in the report as well. And last but not least, the Japan Times. And once again, you see there that the yen is having a lot of pressure as well. Have you been to Japan before, Ponte?
I was in Taiwan, just next to Japan. But...
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, Japan is a beautiful country, very interesting. A lot of amazing infrastructure there as well. Yeah, let's have a look at some of these comments. Do you want me to highlight some of these comments?
As you wish.
Okay. All right. Here we got one here for you. And you don't have to answer these. I'm just going to bring them up, and you can either say next or I've got it, Alex. I can handle it.
It's okay.
So
I can answer
this is
everything.
from Al. It says, Michele, do you believe if Italy will be better off getting out of EU, NATO? Italy seems to be having a lot of trouble.
I think Italy has no chances of getting out of EU, and I think every country that was saved during World War II is a slave on NATO. Sorry for using such words, but when you're part of NATO, you have to have some military spending, you have to buy weapons from the US and so on. And for example, Germany wasn't respecting that, and now they're forced to buy and improve their army and so on. So I think it's too late. It's completely too late. Will they be able to get out? I don't think it will ever happen. There is too much pressure, and European countries are kind of a puppet of US. So
Do you feel that you feel the American still has influence there, huh?
yeah, no doubts. Like let's say, for example, I don't recall the words in English. What's the thing that exploded in the Baltic Sea? Uh,
Are you
the
talking about the pipeline, the
yeah, the
Nord 1 and
pipeline.
Nord 2 pipeline? Okay.
Yes. 90% of the people in Europe are sure it's the US.
Okay.
Nobody's gonna say that publicly. And there was even a politician from Poland that wrote a tweet, "Thank you, US," and then they shut him down. So I don't know. I think US
Yeah,
has a huge influence on Europe.
I,
A
I
huge,
think
huge.
I think for the audience, just so that they understand that no one likes to see conflict anywhere at the world at any time, whether it's in Syria, whether it's in South America, whether it's in the Ukraine. Both Michele and I have friends that are on both sides of this,
Yes.
that are experiencing pain on both sides. Whether it's Russians, whether it's people that live in Donetsk. I have a friend of mine there that is reporting inside that region. It's extremely complex. It's very, very difficult and hard to see this happen. And I mean, what happens is now this is not in the hands, I feel, of the people anymore. To be very clear,
Very
this
true.
is in the hands of military industrial complex. This is in hands of the collective West. This is in the hands of NATO. And I've said this many of times. Where is the diplomatic channels to finding a resolution in this? Of all the European Union countries, the collective West countries, why is no one sitting down at the table? Why is no one trying to find a way out? Yes, there are territorial disputes. We see that everywhere. We see that. Look at a map 20 years ago. It was different. And as you move into the future, the map is going to be different again. But right now, a lot of people, a lot of economy, it's not just Ukraine, Russia region that are feeling this pain. This is going all throughout Europe. This is going throughout Western countries. If you don't think it's affecting you, it is. It's affecting either your food prices, your energy prices, all of this. And I don't know. I mean, do Europeans see an end in sight for this? What do the Italians feel on that?
Italians feel that we have no power. Nobody wants war. Nobody is aiming at war. Uh, Everybody wants it to be solved as quickly as possible, and everybody is worried about World War III. My exact words, the exact words I heard today, they were like, "I'm happy for you. You're heading to Kenya on Tuesday because there might be World War III." Like, nobody wants that, but we are not able to speak to the politicians. They do whatever they want, regardless of what we say. The feeling in Italy is like you vote, they give you the idea of freedom of choice, the freedom of speaking, and so on. They give you just an idea, but the real power, it will stay in their hands, and we have no saying on anything. They will choose regardless of what people think. That's the feeling in Italy, at least, and many parts of Europe too.
It's interesting that 2% of GDP of most countries is expected to fund NATO, who are NATO allies. That's an astronomical amount of money.
That's what I was referring to before. Yeah.
Just to let the audience know, my father served in the Navy, and my grandfather was also in the Navy. He died in the Second World War. Having a family that had some military exposure and experience, it did occur to me that there was issues with NATO when my father talked to me about the breakup of Yugoslavia. Before that was happening, he was saying, look out, this could get very, very ugly here in Yugoslavia. This audience could be divided on the reasons, if it was the right thing to do or wrong thing to do. All I know is that part of Europe has still not been rebuilt in the way that it should have been after a 78-day aerial bombardment brought to you in part by NATO allied countries. And most of the air bombing was done by Canadian CF-14s. Our jets were one of the largest NATO conglomerates that were bombing that country. I feel incredibly sad after visiting that country to see the destruction of Serbia and many of its other parts of that country. This is not good. Seeing this happen, Ponte, to Europe, this is tearing countries apart. But when you see the and this is something I think that is you and I don't really get into this kind of conversations too often.
Mhm.
But I think we have to see that it is impacting people's lives like yours right now, even though you're not directly involved as a soldier or directly involved in anything. This is impacting economies going all the way up, right up to Spain, to Portugal, to France. 1 in 3 fuel stations are out of fuel right now. There's strikes going on, hyperinflation moving on all over the place. And now we're hearing that there might be a bipartisan $50 billion finance coming up again. And that's only going to prolong this coming up in the Ukraine. Oh, man, I don't blame you for hitting the road and going to Kenya right now. I don't blame you.
By the way, when you were referring to the war in Yugoslavia,
Yeah. Yes. And I've traveled to every one of those countries. I've talked to war veterans of those countries. I've met families of those countries. I've spent time on those territories. I'm not just reading a book. I'm not just going there, watching videos. I've been there. I've experienced it. I've researched it. I investigated it. And boy, oh boy, what I was told in the media is absolutely completely different than what I learned from being there.
Exactly. I'll tell you from the Italian side. I was a kid. I think I was like 6 years old or something when there was the war. But I learned some stuff. I remember the news, and okay, these soldiers, the Italian soldiers that they were there, they got back to Italy with cancers and tumor because they were used illegal weapons during that war. They were used bullets that they had some chemicals on it and other stuff, and suddenly thousands maybe of Italian soldiers, they got back to Italy and they had to get discharged because they have these new cancers and other things that they weren't expected. Just because NATO used in Yugoslavia illegal weapons, experimental weapons. And it's a tragedy.
And what's tragic now is that there's no winner in this current situation.
Mm-hmm.
There's just a huge bag of losers.
Yes.
Lots of like
the people.
No one. It's people. It's economies. The world is just getting out of a pandemic, and we go marching into. And don't get me. It's not about what side. That's not what this conversation is about. What side you support or not support or anything like that. It's a true fact that where's diplomacy? Where is sitting down, negotiating? Now, people might say, oh, you can't negotiate with this, or this person is not, they don't have a brain, they can't negotiate. Sit down at a table, negotiate it. There were agreements. There was a Minsk agreement in place, which was signed, brokered by Hollande and brokered by Angela Merkel. It was signed. It was never, I guess we'll say, followed or honored. And what's happened is now we have two sides saying we're not going to give up. Get it? I understand that. But at the cost of what? At the cost of, not just the lives that are going to be hurt, but the cost of indirect costs that is going to hit other nations around the world. If you don't think that this conflict in that area of the world is not affecting you, it's coming right to your doorsteps. And I don't know how we hold these politicians accountable for this. I think in your case, just to be clear, Ponte, you're holding them accountable by saying, I'm Italian, I'm getting out of here.
Maybe,
I don't blame you. I mean, let's talk about YouTube for a moment. Let's talk about the hard parts that I think a lot of the public doesn't realize as content creators. You're a guy that funds your own channel. I'm a guy that funds my own channel, Reporterfy Media. No matter where you go, what you do, how you move, where you get there, you're always spending time, money. We're not even talking about paying for your own time. It's just the goal is to even cover your expenses and stuff like that.
I wish I could cover my expenses.
Right, I know. And with a guy like you, and let me tell you, China is a country that would embrace a voice like yours because you have that likable personality. I've told this to you many a times, and the subscribers know that. But they want to hear more voices like yours in China here. And you have a really good shot of being what you want to be here. You want opportunity. Am I right? You want opportunity? You want, of course, some attention. You wouldn't do this if you didn't want any attention, but attention in a good way, that you want to entertain your viewers. And I'm telling you, after being experienced here a year, I collaborate with the iChongqing group, fantastic group here. But there are many other cities in China that will roll out the carpet for Michele Ponte. There's fantastic cities. There's one not too far away called Chengdu. I think, if it's 6 months from now or 3 months from now or a year from now, I have a feeling that if you get to China and you trust my word, and if you go to, of course, you got to come to Chongqing first, and we will do many things here. But I have the feeling that there is going to be a city that you will fall in love with. They will embrace you, and there are very, very positive days ahead for you. I know I keep saying when we open, when we open, when we open. You have my word. I can't wait for the day to be on a high-speed rail train with Ken Wigger and Randy and yourself all together one day and seeing brighter days ahead. So I want you to stay, from a friend to a friend, I want you to stay focused on your channel now, even though all this garbage is going on in Italy right now. Try to get through these next few months. Let's hope that you can regain, because the Kenyans love you, and regain your popularity down there, get your channel rolling. And by that time, hopefully China's open, and I want to just embrace you, brother, and bring you over here and just give you the opportunity that you rightfully deserve. Isn't that amazing how a Canadian can say that he wants to tell an Italian guy to get over here to give him an opportunity? It would normally be in my own country, but I have to tell you that this is one country that understands content creators. They understand creativity, and they understand and support people like you. And yeah, tell us what your strategy is then going forward. Let's hear the next few months from you.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fly to Kenya on Wednesday. I'm gonna try to gain my subscribers back. Every statistics at the fact that I have many Kenyan viewers, and I hope between these viewers I will get some viewers which are open-minded to see the entire planet. And once I have the channel awaken, if there will be a chance, I will try to visit Uganda and maybe Rwanda, because it's one visa, 3 countries, East Africa visa. It's about a $100 visa. And then if everything will go good, I will be able to speak some Swahili, which is an East African language. I'm learning it. I learned a few words. Maybe in the future I will learn Chinese too. And what I'm doing is, if everything will go good, I will try to alternate contents from all these countries, maybe go to Tanzania too. And by alternating the content, I mean like I publish something from Kenya, and then I catch the Kenyan viewers again, and then maybe I publish something from Uganda. So the Kenyan viewers might be interested in something similar to their country, but at the same time, they will be like, oh, my country is coming next. So we'll see. Hopefully, everything's gonna get great. If not, I'm gonna start begging for money on the streets of Nairobi, and we'll see.
We won't let it get to that, Ponte. We won't let it get to that.
I'm actually trying to find somebody that will host me so I can save money. The first 5 days in Kenya, I have a friend that will host me, and then maybe in the future we'll find more people. But we'll see. We'll see.
Here's a friend of yours from Bangkok. This is an interesting comment. Can you make videos in public without problems in China? I have to say that this is probably, there are certain cities here that are known as Instagram cities or content creator cities. In fact, there's more cameras out recording by public people here than I've ever seen anywhere in the world. Now, whether they're taking photos for their Instagram, or we'll call it Douyin account, which is TikTok, the equivalent. Douyin is the parent company of that. Whether it's through Bilibili, which is comparable to YouTube, or Sikwa, which is kind of like Facebook, or Weibo, like Facebook. Videos everywhere, absolutely everywhere. You can imagine there's no limitations. Now, yeah, if you're going to walk into a restaurant and everybody's sitting down and they're having service, and you walk over to a table and stick a camera in somebody's face, of course they're going to be a bit annoyed. And of course there's other properties, just like shopping malls, that might have a no video thing, just like in Europe. We get that in Europe. Some shopping malls, they don't want you to videotape. I don't know why, but mostly if you are going from, let's say Michele Ponte came to China and he was in Chengdu and he wanted to record in the shopping mall. Well, all he has to do is record first and ask later. That's what I try to. That's what I always do first. I hit the record button and ask later. Now, let's say somebody in security will come up to you and say, "Hey, you shouldn't record." What you can do is you can request to talk to the management. Now, this isn't the runaround here, and I told you there's accountability on all certain levels here. If you call a government agency, they're going to pick up the phone, Ponte. If you call to ask about or chat about whether it's live chat about when a train arrives or anything like that, all government agencies, whether they're municipality or even in the smaller districts, you're going to get an answer. So if you go to the shopping mall and you call somebody at the shopping mall, let's say you pick up the shopping mall, the IFS, it's a huge shopping mall chain here. You call IFS and you say, "I need to talk to the management because I want to come film." Somebody will answer the phone. and you will get somebody on the phone and you will get an answer. You won't have to wait a week or 2 weeks or anything like that. It's instantaneous. And that's how a lot of things work here. So, Bangkok and more, just reading your comment, can you make videos in public? Yes, you should see. I've produced over 108 videos in the last 2 years here of Chongqing. I record in discos and clubs and KTV bars and restaurants and streets and monorails and you name it. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. I'd actually have to say that the most Chinese, if they see you have a camera, they're going to jump in behind you and want to be on that video. That's just how it works. So it's quite fun, and it's interesting to still see comments like that. Actually, Ponte, it is really interesting to still read those comments. So we do have a lot of work to do to let the public know about this. Here's a suggestion from Michele. I have a suggestion. You should visiting to South Asian country like Pakistan and India and those countries if you want to get more views. Well, you can answer this one for us. I know you can.
Okay, I've been to India for over 2 months. I recorded a tons of video. The problem of the Indian videos is that people just want to hear their country is beautiful, perfect, clean, safest country on the planet, and no scammers. So
okay,
and
got
the
it.
moment you say, "Oh, what's happening there?" people will be like, "Oh, I'm reporting you to the police." I'm like, I've done nothing. And I've actually been reported to the police in India multiple times, but nothing happened because I never done anything illegal. So it was just a bit funny. Another thing is, I can go to India and make tons of views, telling the most positive things ever, but this viewership will stay only on Indian videos, which is something that I'm not planning on, because I want viewership that is interested in the entire planet. I want people that will watch me in every country where I'll be. If I'll be in China, in Italy, in Kenya, doesn't matter. I want people that will watch me in every country. Most of Indian viewership, they would watch it just in India, as most of Kenyans will watch it just in Kenya, and so on. So Alex knows about this topic because we talk about this topic a lot. Another thing about shooting videos in India, the CPM, which is the cost per 1,000 views, it's one on the lowest on the planet. With 200,000 views from India, I made like $210. With 200,000 views from Kenya, I made $400. It's completely a different planet. And there are videos in India that have 50,000 views that made $20. So like, it's not worth, unless your goal is to live in India. It's not financially worth it, honestly. And getting views from people that will not watch you in other countries, it's nice to get a 100,000 subscribers plug, but doesn't fit my schedule, doesn't fit my future. I want loyal people more than a big number of people. I think loyalty is worth more than having a huge number.
That's an interesting comment. I guess Bangkok Moore put that comment up there. He said because here in Thailand a new law makes it a little bit harder. Maybe you can clarify that for us. What that means. I've been out of Thailand for a year now, so I'm not quite sure what that new law is. But I'd be interested to hear what that new law is. Here's Hang, who actually has a good explanation about the other day. Here he says, like the other night. The nightclubs refused Alex into videoing the nightclub as they feared in case some lovers do not want to be exposed. In fact, they didn't mind me videotaping. They just told me I needed to get a reservation, which I didn't do. But anyway, that's just me.
I've seen that video. Like, don't worry. Like, you have many options. You don't need to go in that club.
But yeah, I mean, it's quite interesting. Now, Kenya, I mean, tell us why and how your channel exploded in Kenya. I mean, what happened? Tell us what's going on there.
I think two things happen. First, somehow my humor fits very well the African humor. Somehow I'm
Okay.
funny in the right way for lots of African people. They like my jokes, they like the way I behave. The other thing, which is super important, I think I was the first white person to connect with locals. And by connecting with locals, I mean sharing their toilets, sharing their food, living in a village, experiencing life as a person that is living in that place, not experiencing life as a tourist that lives in a bubble, gets out of the hotel, goes to the safari, and gets out of the country. And I think that was my advantage. I think that's what made so many Kenyans fall in love with what I do.
Yeah, I'm just reading here up on the Thailand laws about filming people in public. Yeah, there has been quite an update here.
I think most vloggers will stop going to to Thailand then.
Yeah.
Oh,
The interesting thing, I've got something to say about videoing public. I mean, does that include all the CCTV cameras that follow you in Thailand when you're in shops? Does that follow the cameras when you're in all the 7-Elevens? Does that follow the cameras when you're driving down the streets? Does that follow the cameras that are videotaping you at ATMs? Does that follow the cameras that are videoing you from the streetlights? Or does that or they just care about the some vlogger that is trying to promote their country?
probably.
Yeah, very interesting here. A lot of the CCTV here in China is more about protection than actually intrusion, and I think there's a really big misconception about that. It's to kind of also there is CCTV set up in certain crosswalks, and you got to remember some of these cities have grown from zero to multi-millions in years. And some of the cameras are set up on crosswalks to actually warn people to look for cars when they're crossing the street, because some of these cities were at one time not used to having any traffic whatsoever. And the amount of cars that are on the roads now, you got to remember, I think it was Bangkok Amor, he was saying that he visited Shenzhen 30 years ago, a little over 30 years ago. Shenzhen was a fishing village. There was nothing there. Now it's a mega city and 20-some million people. It's a Silicon Valley of China. It's massive. It's got, I think, the second most or third most skyscrapers in the world for a city. So we're seeing things. Yeah. This is so true. This comment, promoting individual space. LOL. Don't film me. I have kind of like a personal rule is I film first and ask later. And they can tell you to shut off the camera, but by that time you might have already got the shot. Because if you go in there and you say, "Is it okay if I film?" then they'll say no.
Yes, very
And
true.
it's not like you and I want to break the law. We just want to make content. Whether it's at a amusement park or whatever. Of course, there's other strange people out there that do nefarious things, filming and stuff in public.
And
But
by the way, in
yes, tell
many
me.
countries, the local people they do not even know their own laws. In many
Mm.
countries, like the guards of the malls, they don't know the laws and so on. It happened to me so many times. So yeah, it's better to film first.
I like this comment. Does Alex live in China? Yes, I do live in China. I live in Chongqing, China, in a fantastic district called Yubei. He likes to be a spy. Okay. I love that comment. The problem with that is, if I am a spy, somebody forgot to write me a check. But anyway, if they want to write me a check for it, they know where I'm at right now. Okay, let's get some questions here. Let's get to some things here. Yes, somebody put on here how to take care of Michele Ponte is to donate to him, and he gets 100% of the money instead of getting YouTubed for about 30 to 35%. That's great. Just want to cover one more thing here. before just some official stuff, because we got a very busy week here in news. Just so you guys know, it might not be that much exposure in your country, but the 20th CPC National Congress wraps up, I believe it is tomorrow, Sunday. So the viewers from my channel will be doing one final show tomorrow with PTE. It looks like, tentatively right now, that he will join. We will have another Italian on the program tomorrow that's lived in China 27 years. And there's a possibility that Patrick Lancaster will be coming into the stream for about 20 to 30 minutes to talk about some geopolitical issues. Of course, if you're not aware, Patrick Lancaster, he's a crowdfunded freelance journalist that's lived in the Donbass area. He's an American. He's been there since 2013, before the initial conflict took place. That's right, Hang. YouTube gets 30% of the commission from the donation, so that's why PayPal is the best way to go.
Sometimes even more.
Sometimes even more. That's correct. Depending.
If you pay via iPhone,
yeah,
I will get like 49%, because 30% will go to Apple, 30% will go to YouTube, and the remaining will go to the YouTuber.
Oh God, that's a lot. Anyway, just so you guys know, the importance of the CPC 20th National Congress is important. It does tell us where China and what moves they're going to be doing in the next 5 years. And from this week, it's very clear what China is doing: investing in security, investing in the people, investing in infrastructure, investing in e-cars, in continuing investment in other countries. Does not want to see countries in conflicts. I think, yes, let's have a look at some other things here. Hang's got a little bit of a sense of humor. If you spy, why broadcast it? I love that. I love that. So what city is the first city that you're going to get into in Kenya there, Ponte?
I'm heading to Nairobi first.
Okay.
I hope that after Nairobi, I will be in contact with all the locals, because I have already people writing to me for collaborations and so on. Then hopefully I will go through the north and get to Uganda, shoot some videos there with a local girl from a village, then go back to Kenya, then Uganda again to meet with other YouTubers on New Year's Eve or something like this. So it's a messy schedule, but it's going to be interesting.
Well, I would like to see you get that silver plaque in Kenya.
Yeah.
That is the goal, to get that thing. And then you pack it in your suitcase and you bring it to China with you. Okay, you promise me that? Promise. I want you to promise me that you. Come on.
I'll tell you why. I think I want to gift it to my mother. So
you know, when you get it, you can order 2 or 3. You know that?
Right about that. I know about that. The second one, it's not for free.
It's not for free, no. But you have to promise me that you'll bring it, and we will hang ours together. Promise me. Promise me.
Okay, so the original one, I will give it to my mom, and she will keep it.
Good boy.
Yeah, and then we make a copy, and yes, I can bring the copy for sure. It would be cool to have both of them together. I cannot wait to have that. I cannot wait for that moment.
You know, there's something interesting. I want to just show you this here. One sec.
Sure.
This is something else I want you to get. Now, you're used to your YouTubes and your Instagrams, but I want you to get one of these.
Oh.
Okay.
Can you tell me which website?
This is the Bilibili. Hang, if you're watching, Hang, you can tell him what this says. Hang is a good viewer of ours, but this is one of the awards that you need to get on the China social networks, my friend.
You know, I made myself a Bilibili account, but it's empty.
It won't take long for you to get there. This is from Randy. I want to see him get that silver plaque more than he does. Absolutely. But yeah, if you can get these platforms working for you here once you come to China, a lot of people will help you and support you. Even your fans will help you with subtitles. They a lot of the students here, just so you guys know this, I'm not sure I forgot to tell you guys about this. Being in collaboration with the iChongqing team, they're very supportive to local universities. And a lot of the universities that in the city here, there's a lot of universities in media, a lot of them in editing, people that want to be editors or video creators. Huge following here. I'm just speaking for Chongqing. And there's a lot of intern programs here at iChongqing where students come to learn the skills from the people here at iChongqing, whether they're journalists, whether they're video creators, whether they're this and that. And these students that come are incredibly talented. And even when they leave here, they say, can we stay in touch? Do you know other content creators that we can learn from? Because you got to remember that if there's one thing the North American market is good at, it is creating content. Okay. And they will watch, they will learn how to edit, they will learn how to make content, but in return, they will help you. Maybe they will help you become your camera person. Maybe they'll fly drones if you can't fly drones. Maybe they'll help you with doing your B-roll, or maybe they'll help you with subtitles, or most importantly, maybe they'll help you manage your account because you don't quite understand the language. But there's that. Yes.
Can you tell everyone how many subscribers do you have on Bilibili?
Bilibili, I don't know. I don't know. On Bilibili, maybe
too many.
Maybe I think Douyin, I have 225,000, Sequa 225,000, Bilibili 88,000. In total, I think 750,000 subscribers in China.
That's amazing.
Yeah. But it's done with the support of people here that help with that channel. They help with the subtitles. It's really a nice environment to truly make some fantastic content, because some of this content the world hasn't seen. I mean, Ponte, I'm in Chongqing. This country's big. It has over 660 cities, okay? Over 200 of them have over 1 million people in them, okay? Every year, China builds a city the size of Chicago. There are 50,000 Chinese babies born every day. So, I mean, it's a major, I think it's 49,000. Hang on a sec. How many Chinese born a day? Let's have a look here. Sorry, 49,388 births. Over 2,057 Chinese babies are born every hour.
Crazy.
This is very good. Here's something that I want to point out. Hang, you're bright, you're amazing, and Hang, I got to meet you. In 2019, Lizzie Q's videos garnered 5.1 billion views. Jeez. She is absolutely amazing. She's not on YouTube she hasn't posted on YouTube in a while. I'm not sure if it was her that directly runs her YouTube channel or if it's her management company, but she's massive. She is massive. And all she does, she doesn't talk in her videos.
I think I've seen.
Yeah, she just films daily life in rural China. Here we go. Every time she posted, within a half an hour, 1 million views are garnered. So you got an audience here of 1.5 billion that would love to see you. I would love to see you here, Randy and Ken and all those great subscribers that you have. From me to you, it's been absolutely a pleasure here to share the screen with you here. We've had a busy week. I've had a lot of live streams. Just want to let you guys know that Ponte's going to be back, but he's going to be back on my show when we launch the Let's Talk China show again. Just into the distance there, you guys can't quite see it, but into the distance, our brand new studio is being put together. nice, warm atmosphere, and I'm going to have a great graphical team with us because we're going to do a nice little pushback to the mainstream media here and really show them what's going on here in China. What I do with most of my shows here is I give the last word to Michele Ponte. Take as long as you want. And what we'll do is once you're done, you've said goodbye, we're going to just go to some music and let our audience enjoy the departure messages to each other. But what a pleasure it has been to have you on the show to give us an insight on China and to also, or pardon me, an insight on Italy and to tell us, some of the good, of course, and then some of the struggles. And I appreciate that. That's you being honest. You're always been an honest guy to me. And once again, Stefan, I repeat the party line. Okay, what's the Canadian repeated? Here's a comment from you repeat the party line. Well, you know what? If the party line is giving me as good as the life is here, then send me the script, Stefan. I'll say it. All right, Ponte, I'm going to hand over the screen to you. You can say goodbye to both audiences. It's been a true pleasure, and I really appreciate you staying up late. Well, you had a night out, and fantastic, my friend. Fantastic. All right, over to you. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, Alex. Very kind words, as always. Just want to say, believe in your dreams, everyone, and don't let anybody stop you. Do what makes you happy, and as long as it's legal. And I think if you have the possibility, subscribe to both channels, give a like, comment, whatever you know. You know what to do. And for the rest, I hope to see you more and soon on other videos in China, everywhere. And thank you again to Alex for hosting this chat. Have a fantastic day, evening. Here in Italy, it's 4 a.m. As you can see from my closed eyes, it's time to go to sleep. In China, it's time to wake up and go to work. No, it's Saturday. Go enjoy the nightlife. Ciao, ciao.